Welcome to the show. Welcome to Market Movers. My name is Dan Koob, joined as always on Monday throughout the entire football season by ESPN's Anita Marks. Anita, I feel like it's Super Bowl week. We should be talking about the Chiefs. We should be talking about the Eagles, but I feel like we have to give a special hello to Tom Brady's abs. What's going on, Tom Brady's abs? Hello, how are you?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm the right person to have a conversation about anything about Tom Brady. More importantly, who's going to pay $100,000 for the vial of sand
Oh,
where
yes,
he
yes.
where he? I mean, I think that's the bigger storyline here, where he allegedly recorded that video of his retirement. I mean, what, Dan? What?
How about the presence of mind for that astute marketer to go to that allegedly that exact spot where he filmed his very much contrived retirement speech and just scoop up a little bit of history? Kudos to that person. Why not? I mean,
Is it?
the market's worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Don't you think? Don't you feel though it was very like anticlimactic considering like been there, done that, got the free T-shirt already. Oh, wait a minute, he came out of retirement. It's kind of like I think it took the luster away from the retirement. On top of the fact of just like how god awful Tampa Bay was this season with him at quarterback, and really the only reason they got into the postseason is because of just how god awful that division is. Which in all honesty, in my opinion, has been the theme of his career, right? Like, do you really think Tom Brady would have gotten to as many playoffs if he didn't play in the AFC East with a horrible Dolphins, Bills, and Jets team for over a decade? I don't think so. So this is a very edgy topic for me, Dan.
I love this topic. This is one of my, friends always have hills they die on, and I'm right behind you on this one. Not because I support it necessarily. I just love that you feel this way about Tom Brady, that you are so Dan Marino over Tom Brady that I love it. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. Okay, we've spent way too much time talking about Tom Brady. It is Super Bowl week. My Eagles are taking on what appear to be your Kansas City Chiefs, considering you're wearing a t-shirt with the wrong team. Go ahead, explain yourself.
Well, because I'm later on this afternoon, I have a digital show for ESPN called Bet. I've got a TV show called Daily Wager. And so we're doing a deep dive into all the prop bets. And Pacheco, I am all over rushing yards. And I think he's going to be the featured back in the backfield for Kansas City more than McKinnon. So hence, Dan, you know where my allegiance stands. You know this. I picked the Eagles to win the Super Bowl before the season started. I was telling people here on Sporttrade to double down, triple down, quadruple down, get on it. They're going to win the Super Bowl. I
All
still
true.
believe they win the Super Bowl, but there are other wagers to be had and to be made in the prop market. And so I do like Pacheco over McKinnon in this game.
Okay, we're going to go head to head on that because one of the many props on Sporttrade is anytime touchdowns, and I love McKinnon to actually score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. We have gone, Anita, from posting one prop 2 weeks ago, the first exchange to post a prop, mind you, so, pats on the back, to 8 for the conference championship games, to 35 for the Super Bowl. So we're going to run them
Wow.
down. We're going to run them down for you. They're right here in the middle of your screen. Anytime touchdowns are the thing. And the coolest thing about the prop markets here on Sporttrade is not only can you bet, yeah, sure, I think someone's going to score a touchdown, but if the value exists, you can bet on them to not score a touchdown. Have fun trying to find that elsewhere. We're going to run down a whole bunch of these. You stop me whenever there's one that piques your interest, but I'm going to stop right at prop number 1, which is Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown. It is even money. Now, this does not mean a throwing touchdown, right? Passing touchdowns don't count, so he's going to have to run for a score. But Jalen Hurts, one of the tops in the entire country, or tops in the country as if he's playing in college, one of the tops in the National Football League in scoring touchdowns with his feet this season. I think once the Eagles get 3 yards and in, they love just putting a couple hands on the cheeks there and pushing them across the goal line. I think at even money, this is a cinch. You are putting $50 per share. Even if you typically don't bet in full shares, you are putting $50 per share on Jalen Hurts to score.
Yeah, I like this as well. I'm on this as well. I've already gone to the window to wager that he's going to score a touchdown. One thing Kansas City is not good at is defending quarterbacks in the rushing attack. We saw it with Joe Burrow in that, of course, that AFC Championship game. We know how much this Eagles team likes to run the ball with Jalen Hurts. I think they're going to run the ball a lot because, and I know you and I have had this conversation quite often, and that is, I still don't believe his shoulder is 100%. So I think that but I do believe that he's been getting better and feeling more. And listen, at the end of the day, this is it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
This is for all the cojones,
All the cojones.
all the cojones, right?
All
This
the
is it.
cojones.
This is what it's come down to. So what do you like? If you're scared, say you're scared. Stop being scared. This is the game you want to win the Super Bowl. So I do believe they're going to run the football a lot. And one thing that we have seen 6 times in I want to say 20 visits to the red zone so far in the postseason. Jalen Hurts has carried the ball 6 of the 20. So yes, I'm on this. I do believe he scores a touchdown, Dan.
So the only person to have more carries of those 20 carries is the next person I love for my next prop bet. But that's a bit of a tease because we still have other names to get down to. We have Miles Sanders, A.J. Brown. Now, this is an interesting one. I actually don't think A.J. Brown scores in this game. I think the defensive focus in this game for Kansas City will be to limit A.J. Brown because he has shown that he can become frustrated on the sidelines. He hasn't scored this postseason yet. He was visibly frustrated against the Giants. He had a so-so game against the 49ers. They made an emphasis to get him the football early in that first drive, and then really didn't come back to him because, credit to San Francisco, they kind of did a wonderful job defensively, I thought. I thought the Eagles benefited from being +3 in the turnover margin, not necessarily because they were dominant offensively. But I do like no here on A.J. Brown, which is $61.50 per share. Now, I'd probably half that just to be safe, but I don't think A.J. Brown scores. I think this is a Dallas Goedert game.
So I disagree with you in this regard. Look at the size factor of all the DBs for the Kansas City Chiefs. You're talking about a man amongst boys. So I do believe that when they get into the red zone, I think that size factor is going to play a role with AJ Brown, where I think all you're going to have to do is lob it up. I want to say like the tallest DB on the Kansas City Chiefs is like 5'11", something like that.
Nothing wrong with being 5'11". There's not one thing wrong with it.
Nothing
I
in
would
life.
know. I would know. I'm 6
Nothing,
feet, so.
nothing in life, Dan, but not great when you're like when you're the tallest DB in a DB group going up against AJ Brown. So I just think size is the advantage here, and also AJ Brown has been held out of the end zone. I want to say 2 or 3 straight games where he was a touchdown machine during the regular season. I think he gets his. I think he's targeted when they get in the red zone. So I'm on the opposite side here than you, Dan.
Okay, your lips to God's ears. These are all Eagles, obviously. Then we'll go to the Kansas City Chiefs after that. Devonta Smith, yes, is only $35 per share. That's the equivalent of +182. I think that's a pretty good bet. I think Smitty, the last half of this season, has really ascended to, maybe a top 20 wide receiver in the National Football League. I think he's been unbelievable. The only thing you're really counting on is how healthy is Jalen Hurts? How often are they going to be throwing those deep balls? They really haven't connected on them since he came back. And Smitty's their deep ball guy, or has been, at least the back half of the year. They've been using A.J. Brown a lot more in-breaking stuff, not necessarily shooting for him long. The deep game just hasn't been there. And hopefully that's just an issue of, Hurts hasn't been able to connect because he hasn't had to throw that ball. He hasn't been throwing that ball. We'll see what happens. The person that no, go ahead.
Well, really quick, just to make a quick point on Devonta Smith, I think the deep ball's not there because he's having an issue with his shoulder, Dan. His shoulder's injured.
Well, sure. Right.
So first and foremost, I think that's it. Number 2, he's throwing a lot to the left side of the field since the shoulder injury. He obviously feels more comfortable throwing to the left side of the field, and Devonta Smith runs his routes more so on the left side of the field than A.J. Brown. So I do like a Devonta Smith anytime touchdown. I also love Devonta Smith over receiving yards because if you look at the side of the field that Hurts is throwing the ball to since the shoulder injury, it's the left side, and that's where Devonta Smith, that's his wheelhouse more so than A.J. Brown.
I am now frantically Googling Jalen Hurts spray charts, and I was not able to find it in the last 35 seconds. With that in mind, though, now you mentioned the red zone carries from Hurts. Kenny Gainwell here on your screen, right smack dab in the middle. Anytime touchdown for Kenny Gainwell, just $23 per share. That's plus 328. The only player on the Eagles this postseason to have more red zone carries than Jalen Hurts is Kenny Gainwell. Now, he hasn't cashed. He has not gotten into the end zone, but he is a tough runner. He is going to be their starting running back next season as well. I think they let Miles Sanders go. I think this is an opportunity for Gainwell to get into the end zone and sort of proclaim his arrival a little bit. He has 7 red zone touches this season this playoffs rather. Sanders has 5. I really like the value here. And Boston Scott, who's just below, I'll scroll up a little bit. Boston Scott is also $17 per share, and he loves the end zone. So I like Gainwell here.
So here's my reservation. My reservation is the Giants game and the 49ers game were blowouts.
That's true.
Right? So I don't how much of the usage we saw with Gainwell and Boston Scott was because of the fact that it was a blowout. And now Miles Sanders is sitting there and he's like revved up, ready to go, rested, have not tapped into that tank. I truly believe we're going to get if you believe that this is going to be a close game, okay? If you believe that this is going to be a close game, I think we're going to get a heavy dose of Miles Sanders. And and by the way, I am going to play Gainwell anytime touchdown. Absolutely. If this was a game against the Giants, I would play Boston Scott anytime touchdown because, as we know, he's a giant killer. But my gut's telling me I think this is going to be a close game, and because of that, I think we're going to get a heavy dose of Miles Sanders. But I will throw a little coin on Gainwell anytime touchdown as well. Who knows?
So here's my counter to that. So during the regular season, Gainwell had over 23% of the red zone carries as well. So it's a situational play for sure. That's why he's only $23 at plus 328, right? It's a situational play, but they like using him down there, especially once they're not quite on the 1 or 2. That's Jalen Hurts territory, but he definitely has a nose for the end zone. That's why I like Kenny Gainwell. And we'll see what happens. I actually think this is not going to be that close. We can get our predictions at the end of the show. Surprise, I don't think it's going to be that close. We'll flip over to the Kansas City Chiefs now. Patrick Mahomes did rush for a first down. That was one of our props last week or 2 weeks ago for the conference championship games, which was priced at just $24 per share, and that cashed. Do you think he can do it again? It's just $18.50, Anita, in order for him to score a rushing touchdown.
I do believe he can do it. What we know about this Eagles pass defense is they are ranked number 1 in the NFL, right? And now going into this game, from what I understand, Mecole Hardman is expected to not play because of the hip issue.
I believe he was just placed on IR today. Yeah.
Right. So not sure what the status is with Juju or Kadarius Toney. If they do play, obviously they're not going to be 100%. I think we're going to see a really hefty share with Travis Kelce. I know we haven't gotten to him yet, but with that pass rush as well, with Hassan Reddick and all those guys coming after Patrick Mahomes, they're in the red zone. Why not? So yeah, I would play anytime touchdown for Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to be running for his life, Dan.
Well, that doesn't bode well on a high ankle sprain, allegedly a high ankle sprain. That leads us right into the man of the hour. I think the person that will probably determine whether or not the Chiefs win this football game, and that's Travis Kelce. And that's reflected, I think, in the shares price. Yes, for an anytime touchdown for Kelce is at $55 per share. No is at 50. So that's minus 125, minus 102. It's easy for someone to watch a game and say, well, I don't understand why they can't just guard Travis Kelce. Well, it's just not that easy. Right, the chemistry between him and Patrick Mahomes is such that they don't even have to run established routes. They can just run a play, see how the defense is trying to guard them, and then adjust based upon that. That's what makes them so difficult. This, to me, is probably the easiest play on the board. You talk about the Eagles zone defense, which is number 1 in the entire league, Anita. I don't think they allow for these potentially backup Chiefs wide receivers to really get anything going. I think you're going to see Travis Kelce dominate in the middle in the same way that I thought you would have seen George Kittle dominate when Brock Purdy was at least available in the beginning part of the NFC Championship game. The weakness of this Eagles defense is literally right down the chute, linebackers in zone. So I think this is an opportunity for Kelce to have a big game. I think his path to MVP is a low-scoring game where he has 10 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown. Of anyone on the Chiefs, I think he gets the closest. So that's why I would say yes to a Travis Kelce touchdown.
There's so much here in regard to Travis Kelce. I feel like this conversation is an onion. First and foremost, obviously, it's a family affair, right? His brother's going to be on the opposite side. There's a petition out there right now for his mom to oversee the coin flip.
She does. She says
So,
no. She doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want
well,
to do
there's
it.
a petition. There's a petition out there. I think that there's going to be extra motivation, extra emotion for Travis Kelce and his brother as well in this game. That's first and foremost. Number two, the Eagles 20th. They ranked 20th defensively in the NFL against the position. Which means that they can be had. They've gone up against some pretty good tight ends, but they have never allowed a tight end this season to surpass 70 receiving yards. So there's that. Also, if Juju Smith-Schuster and Kadarius Toney and Hardman are all injured, what happens? What opens up things for Travis Kelce? It's when you have a speedster. It's when you have a burner who can take the top off the defense and open up that 10 to 15 yards in the middle of the field. If the wide receiving core is not healthy and they're not posing that threat, and this is an Eagles defense that can center around and focus solely on Travis Kelce and not have to worry about getting burned long, I think that is going to hinder him as well. So I'm on the fence here. Like, a part of me wants to play the over in receptions and over in receiving yards just because I think he's going to be the main target. I mean, Dan, he very well could get anywhere between 12 to 15, 17 targets in this matchup. Like, that's not unheard of, right? And just, pure probability, he's going to catch at least half of those more than likely. Here's the touchdown situation that I really like. There are records to be broken here. So if Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes score 2 touchdowns, they will surpass Brady and Gronk for the most touchdowns by a duo in the Super Bowl era. Okay? If Travis Kelce scores 1 more touchdown, he will surpass Gronk as the second most touchdowns, receptions of any human in the Super Bowl era, behind Jerry Rice at 22. So I lean more towards anytime touchdown, more so than receptions or receiving yards, just because there are records to be broken here. And I do believe that Kansas City is going to go for it.
Okay, let's have the Pacheco-McKinnon debate right now then. You're on Pacheco to score a touchdown. I'm on McKinnon to score a touchdown. So plead your case. Why Isaiah Pacheco?
I just feel like what we've seen, a few things. Since week 10, we have seen Pacheco's usage go up significantly over McKinnon. I'm not taking anything away from McKinnon. McKinnon has been greatly utilized in the passing game. Mm-hmm. But what do we know about the Eagles? Again, one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. Allegedly, I believe it. I'm sure you heard Brandon Ayuk's comments this week saying that the 49ers felt that they were going to be able to dispel that notion. But I do believe that they have a top passing defense. So how can you beat the Eagles? It's in the running game. And to me, Pacheco is a better runner than McKinnon is. Also, I was really surprised last week. Everything I was reading is that McKinnon was a better pass protector in the backfield than Pacheco, but Pacheco got the majority of the touches and the majority of the time in the backfield. So I got burned with McKinnon against the Cincinnati Bengals. So screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me. I'm not gonna shame me. So I just think everything I'm seeing in regard to Pacheco's usage, how you beat the Eagles in the rushing game, not so much the passing game. And also, I just love watching him run. I mean, he sees his vision. First of all, his vision is ridiculous. He's physical, and he's very good in regard to getting past the line of scrimmage before first contact, where McKinnon is not. So I just think, oh, what's that? Is that your puppy?
It is. It's my dog playing guard dog. So
I think your dog agrees with me. So for all those reasons, I'm leaning Pacheco over McKinnon.
Okay. Here's why I like McKinnon. Just $34.50 per share, so you're getting a little more value. Obviously, does not get the same amount of touches, right, that Pacheco gets. But 8 touchdowns in their final 5 games in the regular season. The Chiefs as a team have not rushed for a touchdown this postseason. So how are they going to score? They're probably going to have to throw. Who receives a majority of the targets is McKinnon. So I do like that one, only because I actually don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to run the football. I really don't. Since the Eagles signed Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph, their run defense has actually been in the top half of the NFL. So I think that is a very underrated in-season signing. I think it's going to be very difficult for the Chiefs to get the ground game going. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have to basically play Superman in this game. I know you have a hard out here, so we'll start to move a little quickly. Will any player score 2 touchdowns? That's at 38.50 per share. And I thought this was incredibly low at first glance, Anita. I thought 38.50, that's way too low. That's easy money. Well, in 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls, a player has scored at least 2 touchdowns, including last year, where 2 players scored 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins had 2 touchdown receptions. Cooper Kupp had 2 touchdown receptions. I was somewhat blown away by that. Again, I think the prime candidate here is Travis Kelce, but I think at 38.50, I really like the odds of that not hitting. And honestly, unless somebody scores a touchdown right out of the chute, this is an opportunity, I think, for this value to rise. So I'm going to say no player will score 2+ touchdowns.
I'm going to lean towards yes, just wait, but just for, there is a record to be broke here. And that is the Tom Brady Gronk, like most duo quarterback, receiver, tight end touchdowns made in any Super Bowl. And if Mahomes and Travis Kelce have an opportunity to surpass them, I think they're going to go for it. That's the only reason why I would say over. I think they're going to go for it.
Okay. Will the receiving team have an opening drive touchdown? Now, here's an interesting nugget courtesy of CBS Sports. Since the beginning of the 2014 season, Anita, every team to win the coin toss in the Super Bowl has gone on to lose the game. Now, that means nothing, but I just thought that it was interesting. As it pertains to an opening drive touchdown, I think if the Eagles get it, that's a pretty decent proposition, especially at 26.5. I think if the Chiefs get it, also an interesting proposition because these teams have 2 weeks to script the first 15 plays to really dive into weaknesses. It's a chess match in those first couple series. I like that at 26.5.
I just think that it's the Super Bowl. Their butterflies are going to be expedited. Yep. Nervousness, yep. All that. I don't know. I don't see anyone getting on the board for at least I think they're each going to have to go through a series to get those butterflies out, right? To just to get their emotions back down to earth and be like, okay, been here, done that. We're in the Super Bowl. Let's focus. Let's regroup. Let's do our thing. I just think all the hype and all the excitement, I think it's going to be, I don't care how much is scripted. I think it's too many nerves.
Take down all the Tom Brady posters in the stadium. You're making everybody nervous. Just get them down. We don't need to see that. Completely agree. Will Philly go for more 4th downs in Kansas City? This one's priced at $56.50 per share. The Eagles had 32 4th down tries this year. Kansas City had 12. Obviously, this is game dependent. I like the yes here as well.
I love the yes here. I mean, listen, I know Nick Sirianni rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I love him. I love how ballsy he is. Yeah, go for it. And also, again, you mentioned it earlier. They've got that rugby formation, mm-hmm. right? That they like to play when they're 4th and 1, 4th and inches. They play that rugby formation. Yeah, that might be my favorite prop bet on Sporttrade. Dan.
Love it. We call that the cheeks to cheek formation. Just get your cheeks together and push for the first down. Final score will be scoregami. We talked about this, I believe, 2 weeks ago, a unique score in NFL history. It's just $2. Why not? The first scoring team leading the entire game. Now, you're betting this one if you think you've got the script down, right? People have been talking about leaking NFL scripts, which is the most annoying thing on Twitter this week. If you think the team that scores first is going to run the table, go wire to wire, it basically comes down to who you think is going to get the ball first, and I think it will be the Eagles. So I actually like this at $29 per share because the Eagles have one of the highest percentages of first drive scores in the National Football League. Now, conversely, I like it both ways because Kansas City, offensive metrics-wise, has the top offense in the NFL by a country mile. It's not even close how efficient the Chiefs are. So I like this both ways, actually. Regardless of who gets the ball first, I think you could see points. But again, it goes back to my belief that someone's going to come out and be ready, and you think they're going to be throwing up mom's spaghetti.
Okay, Eminem.
First time anyone's ever confused me for Eminem. Yeah.
I could see it. I could see it happening. I don't have a play in that one,
Okay.
but I can see it happening.
All right, we'll get your prediction before I move on to NBA very quickly. Your prediction, Anita Marks, for Super Bowl 57.
Yeah, I like the Eagles here. I'll lay the points with them. What's the variety, right? I know it's 1.5. What else? What else is out there?
So we've got Eagles at -6.5, Eagles at -2.5, which is only just 48, so it's plus 106, so a little value there.
So
Eagles,
I would play.
good.
So I would play them both. I would play them at -2.5. I would play them at -6.5. Again, I just think the Eagles. I did this on my radio show yesterday. I went down position by position. So quarterback. I know you might beg to differ, but
Nope,
let's say, okay, Mahomes over Hurts, right? Offensive line, obviously the Eagles. Tight end, Kelsey over Goddard. Even though, again, love Goddard, love Hurts, but let's be honest, Kelsey and Mahomes. Running backs, I do give the edge to the Eagles. As much as we've seen Pacheco and McKinnon have a nice 1-2 punch. I just think what we've seen Miles Sanders be able to do this season, along with Gainwell, along with Boston Scott. So offensively, the two categories that Kansas City does have the edge up on the Eagles is quarterback and tight end. Defensively, it's not even fair.
Not even close.
It's not even close. Like defensive line, it's Eagles. Linebacking core, it's Eagles. Safeties, cornerbacks, it's Eagles. Where Kansas City does have an advantage is their punter, Townsend. He's actually one of the best punters in the NFL. He averages a little over 55, 56 yards per punt. His longest was 76. The Eagles, their original punter was placed on IR. But not that they punt that often. Field goal kicker, Eagles have an advantage over Butker. And then, of course, you get into head coaching. And with all due respect to Sirianni, again, I love Sirianni, but you give Andy Reid 2 weeks to prepare for a team. The statistics are there. He's excellent. So there's only 4 categories, in my opinion, that the Kansas City Chiefs are better than the Eagles: quarterback, tight end, punter, and head coach. So, again, I think the Eagles, head and shoulders, are the better team. And I do believe that they win this. My only concern is I do believe that both Hurts and Mahomes are still injured, and they're coming into this matchup, even though it's 2 weeks, they're still coming into this matchup injured. God forbid, and you know how much I love Gardner Minshew, by the way, but God forbid either of them go down. Can Gardner Minshew step into this role and help engineer a win? Even more so than Chad Henne. I'd even go. I don't know. I think they're even in regard to the backup quarterback situation. But at the end of the day, Dan, Eagles are the better team. They're going to win. I would lay the 2.5, and I would lay the 6.5 as well.
Andy Reid is such a good coach on 2 weeks rest that he's 1-2 in the Super Bowl. That's not a personal, whatever. I agree with you. I think the Eagles cover 6.5. I think they cover 2.5. I think the final score is 31-21 in favor of the Eagles. I've been saying it since this matchup came out. A 10-point victory for the Eagles. We will be celebrating all through the night here in our Philadelphia-based location. Anita, I know you have to go. Do you have time for your NBA plays?
I do, absolutely. Okay. So I have 3 plays for tonight that I really like. The Clippers going up against the Nets, right? I'm going to lay the points with the Clippers. 7-2 against the spread their last 9 games. With, of course, Kawhi and Paul George healthy. They're 15-7 straight up, 14-8 against the spread. 7th best from downtown, again, with both of them healthy. Powell coming off the bench. He's been averaging 20 points a game, his 3 straight games. And the Nets defensively ranked 28th against 3-point shooting. So and especially now with, of course, Kyrie being traded and whatnot, I like the Clippers. I'm going to lay the points tonight. Another matchup that I like, and that's the Jazz. 8-5 against the spread, their last 12 against the Mavericks. I'm going to lay the points. They beat Atlanta on Friday. Luka's still out. And, of course, I don't believe that Kyrie is going to start tonight. Nothing has been announced yet, but still, even if he does play, I just don't think Dallas has enough horses in their stable. to contend with the the Utah Jazz. And last but not least, I like the Bucks. I'll lay them over the Blazers. I'll lay the points over the Blazers. They've won 7 straight ever since Middleton has gotten back, Dan. They're a different team. Top 10 offensively. Their last 7 games, they have found their groove. They're 4-1 against the spread against teams below 500. So it's not like they're playing to the level of their competition. I don't think the Blazers are going to be able to slow down Giannis. Their defense ranked 27th in the NBA. So again, I'm going to lay the points with the Bucks. I'll lay the points with the Jazz, and I'll lay the points with the Clippers tonight.
Anita Marks, thank you so much. And our friend from Unabated, Captain Jack Andrews, says, great analysis on Travis Kelce. So there you go, a little feather in your cap. Anita Marks,
Woo!
Thank you so much. We will talk to you the Monday after the Super Bowl, which will be, of course, just an amazing day for me. So we can't wait.
You'll probably aren't you going to be at the parade, Dan?
Parade won't be till Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've done this before.
I've got some friends who own a swanky apartment on Broad Street. By the way, I'm thinking about coming down. So I'll let you know.
You better be there. Okay. Anita Marks,
you got
thank
it.
you so much.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
That's right, baby.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
We'll see you
on
next
the
week.
road to victory.
All right.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Listen to 2 people who are tone deaf sing on a live stream. Okay.